What's going on, y'all? It's JD Pickell with On 3. Today on the Hard Count, we're going to take a pulse of the Baylor Bear program. Welcome into the Hard Count, the People's Show for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a daily basis. Nick Brake does the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. That's all I'm going to say. Not going to ask for anything more. We're also not going to ask for anything less. It's just the agreement we have right now, okay? Would love to have you along for the ride, getting very close to 10,000 subscribers. So, today on the Hard Count, we head to Waco, Texas, the birthplace of Dr. Pepper and Magnolia, and Fixer Upper, if you know what that is. The Baylor Bears had a huge jump from being at the bottom of the Big 12, more or less, right next to Kansas. I guess a spot or two ahead of Kansas, but they were one of the bottom feeders in the Big 12 conference about 2 years ago. Fast forward the tape to 2021, end of the season, they're Big 12 champions. They are Sugar Bowl champions, and the media, which I do not include myself in that category because I don't feel like I'm a media member. I feel like we're one and the same, we the people. The media members have picked them to run that back. We're going to talk about that a little bit. They picked them to win the Big 12 again. Short and sweet. Picked them to win it another year in a row. So needless to say, the vibe in Waco around Baylor is very positive right now. Very, very different than its first year under Dave Aranda. Now, you know how we do this. When we take the pulse of a program, it's 2 fingers to the wrist, stop, wait, think for a second, take the pulse internally. What's going on in that locker room? What's the feel in the building? Also, what's the feeling, what's the pulse of the fan base? Those 2 pieces. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you my diagnosis for Baylor as it looks for 2022. The internal pulse of the Baylor Bears is run that back, Turbo. Just like we talked about in the intro, run that back. We're here. There's no reason for us to take any steps back. We got Dave Aranda running the show. Now, they're going to look a little bit different than they did in 2021. No more Abram Smith. No more Jalen Petrie on defense. No more Terrell Bernard on defense. Those 3 guys were huge contributors for them in 2021. Also, no Gary Bohannon. Now, the interesting piece about this, Gary Bohannon was the quarterback for Baylor in their 2021 Big 12 championship season. Dave Aranda made a difficult decision to name Blake Shapen the starting quarterback. Blake Shapen actually played in the Big 12 championship game and played really well and ultimately won the job in the spring. Now, credit to Dave Aranda, because this was a story that circulated for a little bit. Don't know if it got enough shine as much as it should have, but he let Gary Bohannon know before that deadline for him to be able to put his name in the transfer portal and to play somewhere else. Now, a lot of head coaches, this is not to get on my soapbox, a lot of head coaches would have let that competition, quote unquote, drag on, and Gary Bohannon would have been stuck. Wouldn't have been able to get in the portal. And, oh, by the way, Gary, in fall camp, we're actually going to go with Blake this year. So credit to Dave Aranda for making the tough decision, doing right by Gary Bohannon. But that's really what this whole thing is predicated on for the internal pulse. They trust Dave Aranda. They're bought in. They're trusting the process. They're trusting the development of a program, not just the team. I mean, the team is one thing. To have a great team, that's great. But Dave Aranda is building a program in Waco, and he's got the buy-in of some big-time talent. I mean, they went and got a guy in the portal, Jackson Player from Tulsa, going to be a name to know. They feel like, leaning close when I say this, they feel like they have a chance to be better than they were last year, which is saying something. The offense will look different. The wide zone scheme is still going to be intact. They're going to have to throw the ball more than they did a season ago. They're going to have to be able to challenge more vertically. Some new faces on the outside. They lost some guys as well. Some new faces need to step up. Jalen Ellis being one of them. Ben Sims at tight end. He's a familiar face. They're going to ask more of him in the pass game. So it'll look different, but they feel good about the chance to do it again. That's their goal. They've made no arguments about that. Been very straightforward. We want to win the Big 12 again. We're here. Let's run that back. The pulse of the fan base is in Dave we trust. We're here. We're here, and we're not leaving. And like I just said, a lot of that is in part due to Dave Aranda. Because when you get to the mountaintop and you lose what Baylor did, in terms of production they had at running back and the studs they had on defense, Jalen Petrie ultimately being an early second rounder, they lost some things. Some fan bases might bat an eye at that, raise an eyebrow, what have you. The Baylor faithful are like, yes, the players did it. The player's the one that got it done. But you know who's the man behind the curtain pulling the strings? Who's implementing his culture? Who's having that let's not flinch kind of mentality? Dave Aranda. Because make no mistake about it, Baylor, and this is not a knock on Baylor. I lived in Waco for a long time. Baylor will never be the most talented team in the Big 12. Just not the way that they operate. Just not the kind of recruits they're going to be able to get year in and year out. You got Texas with their brand. You got Oklahoma with their brand. Baylor is going to do it with some OKGs, our kind of guys. That's what they want in Waco. They want the guys with the stars next to their name without a doubt, and they're going to get a fair amount of them. But they're going to do it with a less talented roster than everybody else around them. And so what I'm trying to say here is the people in Waco, they feel great about their football team because of the man who's running it. And we've said that the duration of this video. A lot of Baylor's success is credited to Dave Aranda. And they feel good because he didn't hit the portal. He didn't go to the NFL. He's not going anywhere. Did a great job locking him in actually really long term. Dave Aranda's a fit for Waco. He's a fit for Baylor. He said it himself, I'm kind of quirky. I'm not supposed to fit just about everywhere else. And a lot of other programs wanted him. Rest assured, a lot of other big-time programs wanted Dave Aranda to be their new head football coach. He said, nope, I'm going to stay in Waco. So credit to Baylor for locking that man in, because I believe he's going to be on the Mount Rushmore in the very near future of the best college football coaches in the game. Hasn't been doing it for very long, but he's going to be one of the best when it's all said and done. Mark my words. So, in summary, the internal pulse. Run that back, Turbo. We can do it again. Let's win the Big 12 again. The pulse within the fan base, we're not leaving. We're here. We're here to stay. Dave Aranda got us here. As long as Dave's here, we feel like we got a chance. My diagnosis for Baylor is this. There is a lot of transition within the Big 12, both at Texas and Steve Sarkisian's second year. Oklahoma's got their first-year head coach. Iowa State is reloading their entire roster. Baylor is somewhere in the fray. And so for Baylor, I think it's going to have to be a continual trend upwards. I think they are very capable of winning the Big 12 this year. I would not recommend betting against the Bears. Every single game, they're going to be tough, they're going to be gritty, and they're going to do things their way. They're very process-oriented, they're detail-oriented, and it's going to be a continual climb for Baylor. It's not going to be this flash-in-the-pan kind of deal, 1 year, good year, whatever. Baylor's here to stay. Baylor's going to be a program competitive nationally for a long, long time. So do they win the Big 12 this year? Not for me to say. There's no real skill in predicting that right now. But they're going to be around for a long time. At the very least, they're going to be relative, they're going to be competitive, and they're going to be in that Big 12 title hunt in 2022. So that's the pulse of the Bears. Keep an eye on Waco. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. We're very close to 10,000. We want you in this party. Right now, it's getting close to 10K. Appreciate you tuning in. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.